bumped your head on the wall?
Yeah.
And were you running?
Yeah.
And who were you running with?
With Rose.
And then this crash happened and you broke the house with your head.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday, we had to go quickly to emergency because David, my 3-year-old, ran headfirst into the corner of our hallway. He split his little head open that much. It was a clean cut. He was just running at top speed, shouldn't have been running, after lunch with his sister Rose because they were playing horse. And she made it, he didn't make it through the hallway. And I just heard from upstairs the telltale bonk and the delay and then the wail. Thankfully, Jesse was right there, picked him up, cuddled him, and we could see that he had a pretty good gash on his forehead that a Band-Aid was not going to seal. So it was determined pretty quickly that I would be needing to leave the house immediately. Luckily, thankfully, Jesse is home for the summer because he's a teacher. So the other 5 kids were under his care. This happened about 12:30 in the afternoon, so right after lunch, and I was fresh and I had my purse ready to go. So I just grabbed that and I took some bananas, granola bars, water bottle, and made sure that the stroller was in the car because I know from past visits to Emerge that sometimes there's not a lot of seating, and it's really nice for the little one to have their own seat. It also gives them a nice place to lie down if they're tired and you're waiting for a while. And as a bonus, you as the parent have a footrest when you're sitting in the chair for a long time. So all those things, just a little extra snack, my stroller, that's already in the van. I just took off with David. We did a quick gauze bandage job, and I told him to hold his head as we were driving. And I'd say we were at the hospital about 12 minutes, and then it was the parking. I really wish they made hospital parking easier. Don't you? It's like you get there, you're frazzled to begin with, and then you have to navigate, oh, I have to remember my number or my license plate right now. So a good tip that I have done, because I can't remember anything these days, is I just quickly snap a photo of my car license plate with the number that's often on the ground, and then when I get to the little ticket meter, I have that visual, because you are, as a parent, going to be on adrenaline at this point, and those fine like remembering skills and everything don't come naturally to you when you're in a stressful situation. But I would encourage you, when you find yourself on the way to emergency, to just talk to your kid normally, reassure them that you're going on an adventure today. You've never been to the hospital. Maybe you've read a book about Curious George. We referred back to that. You're gonna have your experience today. It's gonna be great. We're gonna leave in a little bit, and I promised him an ice cream cone at the end. So thankfully, he wasn't crying for that long into the trip. He was able to be distracted by my chatter. The first stop in emergency is the triage little department. Right before that, they do hand sanitizer and mask because we're still in COVID times. So I didn't have a problem with doing that quickly. Just get me in. You see a checkout person at the desk who, in Canada here and in British Columbia, we are so blessed with our healthcare. You can just go right in because we all pay in for the services, and we go in, so she just takes our address information and medical service plan number, and then we are moved to the nurse, who is the triage nurse, who looked at the injury and assessed where we would be in the queue. And then we're blessed at our hospital to have 2 emergency departments, one for children and one for adults. And this is so good, because when we've had to go to emergency on the few occasions over the last 10 years, we're in and out in 2 hours for everything. Except there was one occasion that was longer. We had to stay couple nights, but they're so good. So we were moved quickly into the waiting area, and another nurse quickly came by and took my son's weight and then applied this jelly to a clear Band-Aid over the injury, and he explained that this was going to numb the site, so it was going to prepare his little forehead for the stitches. And that was painless. My son was distracted with watching Paw Patrol on the screen, and there were, like, I had the happiest kid in an emergency room with some really cranky babies. There was definitely crying in there, and it's just sad, right? When you're in the emergency and you see parents who have come from whatever event or middle of the night, state they are in with their child, and you just think of them too and what experience they're going into, because I know that we are just so blessed to have a support network, and I'm in touch with my husband and family, but I know many people come to the emergency and they're really struggling. So it's a good place to pray for people, I find, because you just pray for the grace that you're gonna get good care, but other people might be in worse shape than you, and I just try to make that time, because you're forced to wait, a time where you can be thinking and praying for other people, that child over there who's getting stitches before you, or the child who has a horrible rash or a fever. That is just, those people really need our prayers. So don't waste a second of the suffering when you're in it. We waited for about an hour before the doctor was able to see us, and that's pretty standard in my experience. They have other people with greater needs, broken bones, for instance, that need assessing. So when we did get in, we had our little room, and the doctor and a nurse came, and it was pretty quick. They had, looked like the dishwasher rack, you see? They opened that up with all the little instruments and tools they would use for the stitches, and David laid on my lap. I held his arms while the support nurse held his head, and thank goodness the numbing gel did the job great, because he did not flinch when the doctor sutured up his stitches. He told me he had to go inside a little bit because that makes a better stitch than just doing a top job. So we went inside, did a couple stitches, and it really just looks like sewing with a little hook and tying these little knots. The stitches, he told me, would dissolve in the next 2 weeks. I just had to keep the area clean, washed and clean with water, and apply polysporin twice a day. But I wasn't to put a bandage on it because the baby would just pull at it. So he did that. It took all of, I'd say, 10 minutes. And then we were with a popsicle out the door, back home. David had a really good nap for a couple hours, and when he woke up, he looked a lot better, and now we've just been taking care of it with the polysporin and healing. But I just really feel blessed that we live in Canada. We have a fast pediatric emerge, and he got through the stitches just fine. So now I'd like to go through some things that I took with me to make the experience better, whether you are called in the middle of the night or whether you are called during the day like we. If your purse is stocked with these things, you will be good to go, and I'll explain why I think these are essential to have when you go to emerge. Okay, so I'm gonna walk through what I take in my purse. So I grabbed a couple water bottles, one for baby, one for me, bananas, granola bars. My wallet is there. I have this card saying I'm Catholic, just as an emergency thing, if anybody ever found us. I have all 6 kids' emergency care cards in my wallet. Cell phone is a must. Pen and paper for writing things down. Rosary, little flannel blanket, wipes, diaper. That is everything I need as my go bag, grab bag for emerge. Grab some easy slip-on shoes for yourself that can be washed because you're going to a hospital. Grab some slip-on shoes for little guy too, and a comfortable onesie is awesome to take. And I love bringing a shawl. This is David about a week after it's been healing. How do you feel now after getting your head fixed up?
Good.
Good. Did you break the house with your head?
Yeah.
Yeah. You did. Your head is really strong and it's going to get better. Did you like going to the hospital that day?
Yeah.
Yes. Was the doctor really nice?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it was really fast, so it was as good an experience as it can be, right? Okay. Thanks so much for listening to this week's Cooster Family Ramble. I hope that you are safe and well this summer, and thank you for watching and your support, and I will see you next week. Bye!